to maybe wrap up on the terms racism and anti-Semitism, you know, I have no problem discussing what they are about. My problem is that those words to me are so charged and political. I mean, what racism effectively is like white people hating black people. Like that is effectively what that means in the consciousness. And I just don't think it's useful. Like I would unpack that and talk about prejudice, discrimination, cruelty, racial hatred. And, you know, you would have to break each of those down, like, and not making it complicated, but just like saying, I don't have racial hatred. I don't have hatred in my heart for anybody. I don't consider myself a prejudiced person. I don't look at a person and judge them based on immutable characteristics. Now, as far as something like tribalism goes, I do consider myself tribalistic. I think, as you said, it's in our soul. I think tribalism is in our soul because we are genetic. You know, we're flesh and we're spirit. And I think that, you know, we are more comfortable with people that we're familiar with. And familiarity means a lot of things. People that look like us, talk like us. And I actually don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that, actually. We also make generalizations. I don't think that's wrong either. And there's a big difference, in my opinion, between prejudice and a generalization. You know, I would never say that I'm not going to trust somebody because they are black. But we all know that there is an underclass in America of black people that act a certain way. Now, if a black person comes into my store and he's got his pants around his ankles and he's swaggering around and he's on speakerphone, I'm going to make some generalizations and say, here we go. Oh boy, here we go. Now, you know, maybe I'm going to give him a chance, and maybe he comes up and is very polite and says, hello, sir, I'd like to buy something. And then, you know, I'll treat him like I would treat anybody else. But, you know, we sort of are in the space where there was a time when you had these like generalizations and prejudice and discrimination and hatred. And then I think we went really far in this other direction where we said race doesn't exist. Like we can make no inferences. We can make no generalizations. There are no patterns. We have to strive to be race blind. And I think that was ideologically motivated. And we're trying to find this, like, I don't want to call it a middle ground, but how do you dispense with what we all would recognize as like a primitive form of prejudice and racial hatred without dispensing with common sense, you know? And that's kind of where I'm at. That's why I say I'm kind of post-racist. I think race is real. We have to look at it. We also shouldn't hate people. We should try to treat people as individuals and give people a fair shake. But as a society, we also have to judge based on groups. We do have to look at groupings and how they identify. So it's a bit more complicated than just, you know, are you racist? Yes or no? It's like everything, it's a little more complicated.